I want to try something a little different to start today.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to unfocus your eyes for a second. If you're driving, obviously keep them on the road, but just engage your imagination. I want to take you somewhere.
Okay, I'm with you. Set the scene for us.
I want you to picture the cold, but not a normal cold.
Okay.
Not the kind where you just need an extra jacket or a warm drink.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a silence, a deep, heavy, absolute silence.
Right, the kind of cold that just absorbs sound.
Exactly. The sky is gray-like, the color of old rusted iron, and it's been that way for 3 years.
3 years without a summer.
No summer, no sun, just snow drifting over the rooftops of abandoned houses, burying the chimneys. The oceans are frozen solid, miles deep.
Wow.
And out on that frozen ice, there is a ship setting sail.
A ship on the ice.
Yeah. But when you get closer, you realize this ship isn't made of wood. It's not made of steel.
Uh-oh.
The hull has this weird, jagged texture. It's white and yellow and brittle.
Quietly. I think I know where you're going with this.
It's made of fingernails. The fingernails and toenails of every man and woman who has ever died. And at the helm, a giant.
That is a visceral image to start the morning with.
Isn't it?
You're describing the Naglfar, aren't you? From Norse mythology.
I am. This is the Fimbulwinter, the great winter that precedes the end of the world.
It's time when all the bonds of kinship break down.
Everything just falls apart.
Oh.
And the sun is swallowed by a wolf.
It's terrifying because it feels so bleak. It's just cold and lonely and dead.
Okay, now wipe that image. Keep your eyes closed. We're going to switch gears completely.
Okay, resetting.
Imagine the exact opposite. Imagine the heat.
Yeah, they're extreme.
The rains have stopped, not for 3 years, but for 100,000 years. The plants are all dead. Dust is everywhere. And then you look up, and there's a second sun in the sky.
A second sun, like Tatooine?
Sort of, but it doesn't stop there. And then a third. And a fourth. Eventually, 7 suns are blazing overhead.
7? I can't even imagine that.
The rivers, the Ganges, the Nile, they just evaporate. Steam.
Gone.
The oceans boil away until the earth is just one single glowing mass of flame.
And that is the Sermon of the Seven Sons from the Buddhist Pali Canon.
You can open your eyes now. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be back. That was quite an entrance.
Well, today, we aren't just talking about the end of the world in the Hollywood sense.
Right.
We aren't talking about zombies or asteroids. Well, maybe a little bit about asteroids later. We are talking about something much older. We are talking about eschatology.
Right. A fancy word for a pretty scary topic.
Break it down for us. What does that actually mean? Because it sounds like a medical condition.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A mild case of eschatology. So it comes from the Greek eschatos, which literally means last.
Okay, last.
So it's the science or the theology of the 4 last things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell.
The things we usually try very hard not to talk about at dinner parties.
Exactly. But in a broader sense, specifically for what we're looking at today, it's about the end of the eon.
The end of an age.
The closing of a cosmic cycle and the renewal of the world.
We are obsessed with this, aren't we? I mean, just look at pop culture. The Last of Us, Mad Max, Fallout.
It's everywhere.
Or even just the real-world anxiety people feel about climate change or AI. It feels like humanity has this constant itch to know how the story ends.
It's the ultimate narrative craving. I mean, think about it. We crave resolution. We can't stand the idea of a story that just trails off.
Right, you need the last chapter.
You need a climax. You need to know if the good guys win or if the screen just goes black.
So today, we are going to try to give you that climax. We have a massive stack of sources, anchored by Charles Upton's book, Legends of the End. And our mission is to look at the end times prophecies from, 8 different traditions.
It's a big list. We've got the heavy hitters like Christianity and Islam, obviously.
Of course.
But we're also looking at the Hopi, the Lakota, Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, and Buddhism.
And here's the spoiler alert, the big takeaway right at the top. They're all telling the same story.
That's the scary part. Or, I don't know, maybe the comforting part, depending on how you look at it.
They are almost identical. But before we get to the fire and the fingernail ships, there is one key insight from Upton that we have to wrap our heads around.
Right, and it's a big one.
It challenges the fundamental way we, as modern people, think about time.
Because we are children of the progress narrative. The
arrow of time always points up.
Exactly. We think, I have an iPhone, my grandfather had a radio, his grandfather had a stick.
Right.
Therefore, things are getting better. We are evolving. We are building toward a Star Trek utopia where we eliminate disease and poverty.
But the ancients, they just didn't see it that way at all.
No. Traditional worldviews almost across the board see time as entropy.
Entropy. Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Because that's a physics term, right? Why are we using it for spirituality?
It is physics, but it applies everywhere. Think of the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, I'm trying to remember high school science.
It basically states that in a closed system, order naturally degrades into chaos. Energy dissipates. If you build a beautiful sandcastle and leave it alone, it doesn't get more detailed.
No, the tide comes in.
Right. The wind blows, the waves hit it, and it turns back into a lump of sand.
So the universe is a battery, and it's slowly running out of juice.
Precisely. Upton argues that these ancient traditions view the world as starting in a golden age, a time of perfection, high energy, closeness to the divine source.
Right, the Garden of Eden, that kind of thing.
And then slowly, inevitably sliding down into an Iron Age, a darker, more chaotic time.
So we aren't building toward a utopia. We are sliding toward a reset button.
And that reset requires a cataclysm. You can't just fix the sandcastle. You have to let the tide wash it away so you can build a new one.
Well, if we are sliding toward chaos, we should probably be able to see it, right? It shouldn't be a total surprise.
You think?
And that brings us to the first part of our dive today, the decay.
The warning signs.
The warning signs. Now, you brought up the Hindu perspective in the notes, and this blew my mind. They have a very specific name for the era we are living in right now.
They do. The Kali Yuga.
The Age of Darkness, or the Age of Quarrel.
And the Kali Yuga is the final age in the cycle. It's the bottom of the barrel. But what's fascinating is that the texts, specifically the Mahabharata and the Vishnu Purana, don't just say times will be bad.
No, they get way more specific.
They list 57 specific characteristics of this age.
57. And we aren't going to read all of them, but I circled a few of these because, frankly, they sounded like they were written by a sociologist in 2024.
They are eerily precise. It's uncanny.
Let's look at this one regarding relationships. The text says, in the Kali Yuga, love will be transactional.
Oof.
Relationships between men and women will be based entirely on sexual gratification and business.
That hits hard. In the traditional view, a marriage or a partnership is a spiritual bond. It's a duty. It's a reflection of the divine order.
It's sacred.
It's sacred. But the prophecy says that in the end, it becomes a marketplace.
It's dating apps. It's what can you do for me? It's are you a high-value man? Or what do you bring to the table? It's the commodification of intimacy.
Exactly. And once the transaction is over, once I've gotten what I want from you, or you run out of money or good looks, the relationship just dissolves. The sacred is completely replaced by the useful.
Which is so cold.
That it is.
Speaking of money, there's another one here that's just as blunt. Wealth will be the only measure of virtue.
Right. He who has money will be considered well-born and wise.
And we see this all the time. If someone is a billionaire, we just assume they must be a genius. We assume they're morally correct. Justice becomes something you can buy.
And conversely, if you are poor, you are seen as a failure, not just unlucky, but a moral failure.
Yeah, you didn't manifest it hard enough.
Right. It's the prosperity gospel turned into a global nightmare. If you're not rich, you must have done something wrong.
There's also a weirdly specific one I found in the notes. Houses will be desolate because of the lack of guests.
Yes, the loss of hospitality.
And that feels strangely relevant, doesn't it? We live in these little boxes. We don't know our neighbors. We have Ring doorbells to make sure we don't accidentally open the door for a stranger.
In ancient traditions, the guest was sacred. To turn a guest away was a sin against God or the gods. The stranger at your door might be an angel in disguise.
Or just someone who needs help.
But the prophecy says we will become isolated, atomized. Just individuals in our pods staring at screens, unwilling to open our doors.
When the system gets bad enough, what happens then?
Then you get the final stage of that social decay. People will flee to the forests and mountains, surviving on roots and honey just to escape the system.
That's the cottagecore movement. Or the preppers, the people building bunkers in the woods.
It's people realizing the system is so corrupt. Another sign is rulers will levy unfair taxes and become unreasonable, that the only sane move is to just opt out completely.
Wow. It paints a picture of total social breakdown. But it's not just social, is it? The Buddhist timeline is just as grim, but in a totally different way.
The Buddhist view is more about spiritual entropy. It's not the society that collapses first. It's the signal from the divine that fades.
They have this concept of the decline of the Dharma, and they list the 5 disappearances. It sounds like a countdown.
It is a countdown. The Buddha predicted his teachings would only last for about 5,000 years. We are roughly 2,500 years in, so we're past the halfway mark.
So we're on the downward slope.
We are, and the slide down is marked by these 5 disappearances.
Walk us through them, because this isn't just people stop going to church. It's much more specific.
Okay, so the first is the disappearance of attainments.
Attainments.
Basically, people lose the ability to actually become enlightened. The hardware of the human soul, so to speak, degrades. We just can't hit those high notes anymore.
We get spiritually dumber.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
We lose the capacity for deep realization. Then after that comes the disappearance of method.
Okay, what's that?
People stop meditating. They stop keeping the moral precepts. They might know the words. They might quote the texts on Instagram.
Right.
But they don't do the practice. The how-to is forgotten.
That sounds a lot like spiritual but not religious. All vibes, no discipline.
It's exactly that. It becomes performative, a lifestyle brand. Then comes the disappearance of learning. The books themselves, the scriptures, they vanish or they're just ignored. We lose the manual.
And then the disappearance of symbols.
This is a striking image. Monks will abandon their robes. They will return to secular life.
So you can't even tell who the spiritual people are anymore.
Exactly. The distinct mark of the spiritual seeker is lost in the noise of the world. There's no difference between the sacred and the profane anymore.
Everything becomes gray. Everything becomes secular.
And finally, the last nail in the coffin is the disappearance of relics. The physical remnants of the Buddha vanish from the earth. It's a total wipeout of the spiritual connection.
So it's a fading out. It's not a bang, it's a whimper. A slow, collective forgetting.
A spiritual amnesia.
Now, let's pivot to Islam. Because the Islamic tradition divides the signs into minor signs and major signs. And according to the texts, we are deep, deep in the minor signs.
Oh, yeah. And the minor signs are fascinating because they deal with this feeling of the acceleration of life.
Right. There's a specific one that says time will pass too quickly.
Yes. A year will feel like a month like a week like a day.
Okay, I feel that every single week. Is that just because I'm getting older, or is there something to that?
Well, Upton argues it's a symptom of modernity. We're so distracted, so overstimulated, rushing from one dopamine hit to the next, that we lose the ability to dwell in the present moment. So time compresses.
And there are visual signs, too. The prophecies speak of architectural arrogance.
Shepherds and barefoot Bedouins competing to build the tallest buildings.
I mean, look at the skyline of the Gulf states today. Dubai, Qatar. That is literally happening. You have these massive glass towers rising out of the desert.
It's hard to ignore. It represents human pride trying to touch the sky. It's a new Tower of Babel, in a sense.
There's also a sign regarding the inversion of social norms. Men dressing like women, women dressing like men. Now, this is a tricky one, because in a modern context, we view that as liberation, as breaking down rigid gender roles.
Of course. But Upton points out that in the traditional worldview, this isn't seen as freedom, but as entropy.
So?
It's a loss of distinct forms. It's the differentiation of the world dissolving back into a gray uniformity. It's chaos overtaking order, the masculine and feminine principles becoming confused and indistinct.
So we have social entropy in Hinduism, spiritual entropy in Buddhism, and temporal entropy in Islam. But what about the earth itself? The indigenous traditions, the Lakota and the Hopi, they seem to focus heavily on the land.
They do. Their connection to the earth is central. The Lakota have this haunting image of the buffalo at the west.
This is one of my favorites in a terrifying way. Can you describe it for the listener?
So the legend says there is a great buffalo standing at the very edge of the world in the west. His job is to hold back the waters.
The waters of chaos. Like a dam.
Like a living dam. But every age, he loses a leg, and every year, he loses a hair.
So he's slowly weakening.
Constantly. Getting more and more unstable.
And when he is bald and legless?
The waters return. The cycle ends. It's a very visceral metaphor for the erosion of the natural stability of the world. You can almost see the buffalo wobbling, getting weaker, struggling to hold back the chaos.
And the Hopi. Theirs is maybe the most famous one.
The Hopi prophecies are famous for their gourd of ashes. They speak of the world being destroyed by a gourd of ashes falling from the sky.
Which boils the land and burns the sea.
Which, let's be honest, sounds undeniably like a description of nuclear weaponry.
It's hard to read it any other way. A gourd, a round object full of ash that falls from the sky and causes immense destruction.
It does. Or perhaps a massive volcanic eruption or a comet impact. But the imagery of ash from the sky parallels the Buddhist seven suns and the Christi fire from heaven. It's the element of fire cleansing a corrupted world.
So we have the decay. The stage is set. The house is crumbling, the guests have stopped coming, and the buffalo is losing its hair.
The world is primed for a change.
But a story needs a villain. And these traditions, they have some truly terrifying antagonists.
This is where it gets really interesting. We enter part 2, the counterfeits.
Upton discusses this concept of the ape of God. Now, ape of God, that sounds bizarre. Is that meant to be insulting? Like, God is a monkey?
Chuckles. No, not at all. Think of the verb to ape, to mimic, to copy.
Ah, okay, so an imitator.
To copycat.
Perfect imitator. And this is crucial for understanding the end times villain. We usually think of the Antichrist or the ultimate evil as this obvious monster. You know, red skin, horns, breathing fire, kicking puppies.
Right, the guy you immediately know is the bad guy. No subtlety.
But Upton argues that's not how it works. I mean, think about it. If the devil showed up with horns and a pitchfork, would you follow him?
I mean, probably not. I'd run the other way. Exactly. So the ape of God implies that the ultimate villain will look, act, and sound exactly like the hero. He is a counterfeit.
He's a forgery.
The best forgery ever made. As the Latin phrase goes, corruptio optimi pessima, the corruption of the best is the worst.
So the Antichrist isn't going to show up scaring us. He's going to show up trying to solve our problems.
Exactly. And if we look at the Islamic tradition, this is spelled out perfectly, we have the figure of Al-Masih ad-Dajjal.
The false messiah.
A false messiah. And he is vividly described in the Hadith, but there is one weird specific detail. He is one-eyed.
Specifically, blind in the right eye, which looks like a floating grape.
A floating grape. That is a detail you don't forget.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
But he's not literally a cyclops, is he? That's not the point.
Probably not. The symbolism there is profound. In traditional thought, the right eye usually represents the eye of the spirit, the ability to see divine truth, the unseen realities. And the left eye sees the material world, the world of facts and figures. So the Dajjal is blind to the spiritual. He can only see the material. He's the ultimate materialist.
And he's a miracle worker, right? He's not just giving speeches. He has powers.
Oh, yeah. He heals the sick. He makes the rain fall. He brings food during famines. This is crucial. He appears during a time of chaos and starvation, and he offers sustenance. He offers a solution.
But there's a catch.
A huge catch. The texts say his heaven is hell and his hell is heaven. If he offers you water, it's actually fire. If he offers you fire, it's cool water. It's the ultimate inversion of reality.
That parallels the Christian idea of the Antichrist so well. The beast from the sea in Revelation. He's this charismatic leader who brings the world together under a single unified system.
Right. And what does he do? The beast requires a mark to buy or sell.
Economic control.
Total economic control, just like the Dajjal controlling the food supply. The Antichrist is a problem solver for a world that has become ungovernable. He offers order, he offers peace, but the price is your soul.
There's also a Jewish figure mentioned in the source material that I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah.
Armilus.
Yes, Armilus appears in later Jewish eschatological texts. He's a similar Antichrist figure, an evil king who persecutes the faithful.
But the Jewish narrative has this really tragic twist. Armilus is said to slay the Messiah ben Joseph. Wait, Messiah ben Joseph? I thought the Messiah was the son of David.
In some Jewish traditions, there is a concept of two messiahs, or two messianic stages. Messiah ben Joseph is the suffering servant, the precursor. He's a warrior who fights the wars of the Lord and dies.
So he's the first attempt.
He's the first attempt. And his death at the hands of Armilus, this dark, counterfeit force, is what necessitates the arrival of the final king, Messiah ben David, who brings the ultimate victory.
It's a tragic first act. It acknowledges that the first attempt to set things right will be crushed by this counterfeit power.
It adds a layer of realism to the myth, I think. The good guy doesn't always win in the first round.
Now, if we move north, the Norse antagonists aren't really counterfeit saviors. They are just straight-up nightmares. No, they aren't trying to trick you. They're not offering you bread.
No, the Norse didn't really go for subtlety with their monsters. They have Fenrir,
The giant wolf.
the wolf who grew so large and so strong, the gods had to trick him just to put a magical leash on him. And they knew one day he would break it.
And when he breaks his chains at Ragnarok.
His lower jaw touches the earth and his upper jaw touches the heavens. He literally swallows the world. He even swallows Odin, the All-Father.
And then there's Jormungand, the Midgard serpent.
The snake that is so big it encircles the entire world, biting its own tail. He rises from the sea, thrashing and causing tidal waves, poisoning the sky with his venom.
And we have to bring back the ship.
Magog.
The ship made of dead men's fingernails. The host note here just says, "Note to self, trim nails before dying."
Waxers. It is actually a piece of Old Norse folklore. You were supposed to trim the nails of the dead so you didn't contribute to the building of the ship.
Seriously.
Yes, the idea was if the ship takes longer to build, Ragnarok is delayed. It was a practical ritual act.
That is practical mythology right there. It gives you something to do. I can't stop the wolf, but I can clip my grandpa's nails.
Every little bit helps.
But there's also a Tibetan Buddhist figure mentioned, the barbarian king Hanumanda.
Right. This is from the Kalachakra Tantra, a very complex system of teachings.
What's the deal?
It predicts a future war where this barbarian king, leading a massive army, attacks the hidden pure kingdom of Shambhala. It represents the forces of materialism and ignorance trying to breach the last fortress of spiritual wisdom on Earth.
So across the board, we have these antagonists.
Yeah.
Some are deceptive counterfeits, like the Dajjal and Antichrist promising a fake heaven.
The slick politician.
And some are raw forces of destruction, like Fenrir and Jormungand.
The mindless beast.
But they all represent the final obstacle, the last boss fight.
And that fight brings us to the cataclysm itself, the crack of doom.
Part 3, fire, ice, and molten metal. This is where things get loud.
And the Christian apocalypse, the Book of Revelation, is probably the most famous or infamous version of this.
Oh, yeah.
You have the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls of wrath being poured out on the earth.
The details are just horrific. It's not just a battle. It's a total ecosystem collapse. Water turning to blood, the sun scorching men with fire.
Huge hailstones. And those locusts with the tails of scorpions that sting people for 5 months?
Yeah, that's pure nightmare fuel.
It's a systematic deconstruction of the created order. It's as if God is uncreating the world, taking it apart piece by piece.
But if you look at Zoroastrianism, which is much older than Christianity and influenced it heavily, you find a very specific and, I think, fascinating image of the end.
I agree. This one is really unique.
The molten river.
Yes. The event is called Frashgerd, which means the making wonderful.
The making wonderful. That sounds so nice, like a home renovation show on HGTV.
It is a renovation, but an extreme one. The prophecy says a river of molten metal will flow across the entire earth.
And everyone has to walk through it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
The living and the resurrected dead. And here's the test. To the righteous, the metal will feel like warm milk. Gentle, soothing, cleansing.
But to the wicked,
it is exactly what it looks like. Burning, searing, agonizing metal.
Wow. That is such a powerful image of judgment. It's not a guy on a throne pointing a finger saying, you're good, you're bad.
No, not at all. It's the nature of reality itself testing you.
It's totally subjective. The river is the same for everyone. But you are different. Your own internal state, your own soul, determines whether the fire burns you or bathes you.
Precisely. It purifies the world. It burns away all the dross, all the corruption, so the world can be renewed and made wonderful again.
It's painful, but necessary. Like a fever burning out an infection.
Exactly.
Now, Norse mythology, Ragnarok, this feels different. This is less about purification and more about, well, mutually assured destruction.
It is a tragedy. There's a deep sense of doom and fate to it. The gods don't win in a traditional sense. They know this is coming and they fight anyway.
Odin is swallowed by Fenrir.
And Thor, the strongest of all gods, the champion of mankind.
He faces his old nemesis, the serpent.
He kills the serpent, Jormungand. He smashes its skull with his hammer, but as it dies, the serpent breathes its poison all over him.
And then
Thor turns, takes 9 steps, and drops dead.
9 steps. That detail always gets me. It's so specific and so tragic. The strongest god only makes it 9 steps after his victory.
And it continues. Heimdall and Loki kill each other. Tyr and the Wolfgarm kill each other. It's a total wipeout. No one gets out clean.
And then Surt, the fire giant, just flings fire across the 9 worlds and the earth sinks into the sea. Game over.
But, and this is crucial, it's not entirely game over.
Right. There's a little post-credits scene.
A little one. The texts say the earth rises again. It's green and fresh and beautiful. A few of the younger gods survive. And 2 humans, Lif and Lifthrizir, survive by hiding in a tree.
A new Adam and Eve.
Essentially. So it's a cycle. The destruction makes way for the new growth.
The Islamic cataclysm has some unique features, too, that we should touch on. The sun rising from the west.
That is a major, major sign. It signifies the complete reversal of the cosmic order. The laws of physics are broken. At that point, the door to repentance is closed.
And there is the beast of the earth.
Yes, the Dabat Ald. And this is not to be confused with the Dajjal. This beast appears to physically mark the believers and the non-believers, one on the forehead.
Like it's sorting humanity.
Exactly. It makes the inner state of a person visible on their outer body before the final end.
So the mountains are crushed, the seas boil, the stars fall. It's the undoing of creation across all these traditions. But, and this is the hope part of the show, someone is coming to fix it.
Part 4. The Saviors. The Return of the King.
And almost every tradition has a rider archetype.
Yeah.
Someone coming on a horse to clean up the mess.
In Hinduism, it's Kalki, the 10th and final avatar of Vishnu.
He appears at the very end of the Kali Yuga.
Right when things are at their absolute worst. And the visual is so striking. He rides a white horse named Devaduta. He wields a blazing sword like a comet.
And he's born in the village of Shambhala.
Yes, the name appears again in both Hindu and Buddhist texts. Kalki's role is to destroy the robbers, the wicked rulers and false teachers who have been exploiting the people, and restore the Dharma, ushering in the new golden age, the Satya Yuga.
And then you flip to the Book of Revelation, chapter 19. I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True.
It is the exact same archetype. It's stunning.
Christ returning as a warrior king, judging and making war on the beast and the false prophet. It's not gentle Jesus, meek and mild anymore.
No, this is the king claiming his kingdom, with a sword coming out of his mouth, which symbolizes the power of the divine word.
Now, Islam has a fascinating team up here. We mentioned the Mahdi and Jesus earlier. How do they work together? It's not a competition.
Not at all. It's a collaboration. So the Mahdi, which means the rightly guided one, appears first. He is a human leader from the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad who unites the believers and fights against the armies of the Dajjal.
But he can't win on his own.
He can't. The Dajjal is too powerful. He has supernatural powers. That is when Jesus, or Isa in Arabic, descends.
The tradition says he descends at a white minaret in Damascus, right?
Yes, a very specific location. And the dynamic is incredibly respectful. The narrative says that the time for prayer arrives. The Mahdi offers to let Jesus lead the prayer.
Which you'd think he would, being Jesus.
But Jesus declines. He says, no, the leadership is from among you, and he prays behind the Mahdi.
That's a powerful symbol. It shows respect for the current dispensation, for the structure of the final faith.
Exactly. But when it comes to the actual fight, Jesus is the one who kills the Dajjal. He confronts him, and the Dajjal is said to begin to dissolve like salt in water. Then Jesus finishes him with a lance or a spear.
So it's the Spirit of God embodied in Jesus that finally destroys the great deception.
Precisely.
We also have the Zoroastrian savior, Saoshyant.
Saoshyant is fascinating because he is born of a virgin mother from the seed of Zoroaster himself, which has been miraculously preserved in a lake for thousands of years.
That sounds incredibly similar to the Christian virgin birth.
It is. Zoroastrianism is one of the oldest monotheistic traditions, and its influence on later Abrahamic religions is huge. Saoshyant's job is to raise the dead and bring about that final renovation we talked about. He makes the world perfect and immortal.
And finally, Buddhism has Maitreya.
The future Buddha, the Buddha of kindness. Currently, he is said to be waiting in the Tushita heaven.
Waiting for his cue.
Waiting for his cue. When the Dharma is completely forgotten on Earth, when we have totally lost the plot and the last relic has disappeared, he will descend, be born as a human, reach enlightenment, and turn the wheel of the Dharma once more for a new age.
There's also this herald motif we keep seeing, isn't there? The savior rarely just shows up alone.
No, he needs a hype man. Someone to prepare the way to announce his coming.
Christianity has John the Baptist for the first coming, and often the prophet Elijah is associated with the second coming.
Islam has the Mahdi appearing before Jesus. In Buddhism, there are legends of a righteous King Sanka who prepares the way for Maitreya. It seems to be a universal rule. Before the king arrives, someone must announce him. The world has to be prepped.
So we've seen the decay, the villains, the destruction, and the heroes. It's a whole epic. Now we have to ask the big question. Part 5. What does this all mean? Why are all these stories so eerily similar?
This is where we get to the synthesis, and I want to go back to Charles Upton's analysis, particularly regarding the system of Antichrist. He brings up the figures of Gog and Magog.
These appear in the Bible and the Quran, Ya'juj and Ma'juj in Arabic. They're usually depicted as these destructive barbarian tribes enclosed behind a great wall.
Right. But Upton offers a psychological and political interpretation that is very, very relevant to today. He suggests that Gog represents Gathering.
Gathering. Like,
Globalism.
exactly. False unity. A dissolution of cultures into one gray consumerist blob. The idea that we are all just economic units in a global market. No borders, no distinct traditions, no sacred cultures, just one big shopping mall. Okay, I see that. And Magog.
Magog represents exaltation, false transcendence. This is violent tribalism, extreme nationalism, reactionary separation. My group is the best, my nation is the only one that matters, and everyone else must be destroyed.
So the trap of the Antichrist, the trap of the Dajjal, is to make us choose between them.
Precisely. The system plays globalism against tribalism. It forces you to pick a side. Either you dissolve your identity into the consumer soup, Magog, or you cling to a violent, hateful, exclusionary identity, Magog.
And both are traps.
Both are traps because both distract you from the vertical relationship with the divine. They keep you fighting on the horizontal plane.
That is deeply uncomfortable. It feels like looking at the daily news feed. You're either a citizen of the world with no roots or a nationalist with a pitchfork.
And the spiritual perspective says, neither. The truth is vertical, not horizontal. You don't find salvation in the global market or in the tribe. You find it above.
There's another twist here that I love, the final part of this, the inner apocalypse.
This is the storytelling twist. This is where it gets personal. What if the end of the world isn't just about rocks falling from the sky? What if it's about you?
The source quotes a Sufi perspective. The Antichrist is the nafs.
The nafs. The demanding ego. The lower self.
Unpack that.
Yeah.
How is the ego the Antichrist?
Well, think about it. The Dajjal is one-eyed. He only sees the material world. Isn't that exactly what the ego does? It wants food, sex, power, status, comfort. It is completely blind to the spirit, to the sacred.
So slaying the Antichrist
Is slaying the ego. It is the internal battle. When Jesus, who represents the spirit, the Ru within you, kills the Antichrist, the ego, that is the apocalypse, the end of your old world.
and the Lakota red and blue days.
When the sun turns blue and the moon turns red, Joseph Epes Brown, who studied with Black Elk, suggested this can be interpreted as the end of ignorance. When you receive illumination, when the spirit awakens, your old world of perception ends. The ego dies. That is a personal apocalypse.
It reminds us of the word itself. Apocalypse. It doesn't mean disaster or catastrophe.
No, that's a Hollywood misunderstanding. It comes from the Greek apocalypsis. It means unveiling.
Taking the lid off something.
Taking the lid off. Revealing what was hidden all along.
It's not just destruction. It's the moment the curtain drops and you see the absolute truth standing there, which was always there.
Exactly. The destruction is just the clearing away of the illusions, the lies, the stage props, so the truth can finally be seen. It's cleaning the window so you can see the sun.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we have to address the listener directly. We've talked about fingernail ships and molten rivers and one-eyed deceivers. It's a lot to take in.
It is heavy material, but there's a beautiful thought from the source material that I think brings it all together. To know the meaning of the end of days is already to be beyond it.
To know the meaning is to be beyond it.
If you understand that all things created must return to their source, that entropy is just the natural process of things returning to God, then the fear dissipates.
It loses its sting.
It does. Whether the world ends in fire or ice or just a slow, quiet fade, the myths serve a purpose. They remind us that we are not permanent. Our buildings, our empires, our egos, they are all temporary constructs.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to chew on today. We talked about the inner apocalypse, the death of the ego.
If the end times are actually a metaphor for that death, then here's the question.
Are you living in your own personal apocalypse right now?
Is your old world crumbling? Is the structure of your life, the person you thought you were, falling apart?
And if it is, instead of being terrified of the fire, what if you saw it as the molten river?
What if you walked through it? What new world is waiting to be born on the other side?
That is the question. Thanks for diving deep with us.
We'll see you in the next eon.
Or next week, whichever comes first. Take care.